Coleman filed suit in state court. It contends that Express Scripts and its affiliated organizations colluded with opioid manufacturers to increase sales of the addictive drugs. The suit says the result was an epidemic of overdoses and deaths. It says the companies sought to profit at the expense of the public. Rich Thomason reporting.
Tragedy in Michigan. Authorities say a 12-year-old boy has died when he was struck by a tree that fell at a nature center where he and classmates were on a field trip. Livingston County Sheriff's Office says the child was at the Howell Nature Center when the tree fell, hitting him in the head. Spokesman says the boy and his classmates were learning how to make a fire, but it's unclear what caused the tree to fall. Breaking news and analysis, townhall.com.
This is Ian with AccuClean. With fall quickly approaching, AccuClean knows that it can be all too easy for kids and pets to track in mud, grass, and leaves. Luckily, we know the solution. Now is the perfect time to get your carpets, rugs, and upholstery cleaned as it extends the freshness and life. AccuClean is a veteran-owned and local carpet cleaning company located in the Midlands for over 20 years. Be sure to give us a call at AccuClean today at 803-957-1202 to make sure your carpets are refreshed approaching this season. That's AccuClean at 803-957-1202. We'll see you soon.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
It's a Friday night in South Carolina, and that means high school football. Welcome to the Founders Federal High School Scoreboard with Phil Kornblut and David Shelton. We've got all the scores from across the state, plus game reports and interviews with coaches. The High School Scoreboard is proudly brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. Now, let's head to the Scoreboard Studios in Columbia. Here's Phil Kornblut.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome into the High School Football Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union here on the Sports Talk Media Network. And we hope you've had a pleasant evening. And we certainly understand and feel for everybody still digging out from Helena. And we hope everybody's doing okay and making progress in cleaning up whatever it is you have to clean up. I understand that a lot of destruction in many parts of the state. I don't think really any part of the state went totally untouched. I know the upstate, all across there from Oconee County all the way across to Cherokee County, all up there, hard hit. A lot of people cleaning up big messes. A lot of football, of course, postponed. Games tomorrow, games on Monday. Some games were played on Wednesday. We are here. We are, the beautiful thing about radio, about live radio, during times like this, we can be a diversion for you. I mean, you've been dealing all day with bad stuff. And now, take your mind off of it for a little while and just listen to high school football. Listen to our coverage of high school football because, tonight we're going to do scores, of course. And as you might imagine, we don't have a large number of games like we normally do on a Friday night when we might have over 100 games to talk about. We're going to come way short of that, though we're going to treat, like we do, we're going to treat all scores, not going to lie to you and tell you that they're all tonight because they're not. Some were played Wednesday night. Like I said, some will be played tomorrow and Monday. We'll go over the schedule. But we're just going to give you the scores. And so you'll hear scores that were from Wednesday night along with scores that are from tonight's games. So that's what we've got for you. David Shelton will be joining us in a little bit. He's got a story to tell. He might not be in a very good mood. Now, David's typically in a pretty good mood. But he got run out of the press box at Goose Creek. I think they were playing at Goose Creek, Somerville and Goose Creek. Got run out of the press box, not by anything he did. It was a space thing, apparently. And we'll find out what happened with that. But, I mean, as he tweeted for 37 years, he's never been forced out of a press box because of a space issue. So we'll hear from him on that. Coach Scott Early from South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association will give us his Friday night commentary. And we do have some reporters joining us from games tonight, games from Wednesday, or guys just checking in to update because they want to talk some high school football, checking in because they want to update what's going on in their particular area of the state or with their particular team. So we'll have a lot of fun with it tonight here on the High School Football Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. And we'll try to talk to some coaches who played tonight or who may be playing games coming up or who played on Wednesday, whatever the case may be. We're going to do the best we can here over the 2 hours to entertain you from a high school football standpoint. Believe me, there's plenty to talk about in high school football in South Carolina, even when we don't have a ton of games to talk about. But you know what? Let's do what we do and give you some scores. So here's what we've got so far. Belton Honeypath beat Chapman 42-7. Broome 48, Blacksburg 41. Keenan 46, Chester 30. Burns 14, Dorman 3. Lexington 29, Lawrence nothing. These are all from Wednesday. Batesburg-Leesville 48, Mid-Carolina nothing. Blythewood 35, Spring Valley 13. Lower Richland 26, Crestwood 21. Fox Creek 42, Williston-Elko 14. Midland Valley 42, Brooklyn Casey 21. Ridge Spring Monetta 12, Whitmire 2. Barnwell. Boy, I remember when this game used to be so close, so competitive, so tight. Not this time. Barnwell 47, Silver Bluff nothing. Sumter 42, Lugoff Elgin 7. White Knoll 38, Fort Dorchester 8. PD Grand Strand. Central Pageland 32, Anson of North Carolina 7. Now let me say this. Some of these are from tonight because the PD seems to have more games going than other parts of the state. So Central of Pageland 32, Anson of North Carolina 7. Darlington 44, Lakewood 20. Another nice win for Darlington. Carver's Bay 42, Green Sea Floyd's 18. King Street beat Lake City 16-14. Lakeview 49, Hemingway nothing. Socastee with really one of their biggest wins in a number of years, maybe dating back to the glory days of Hunter Renfro. Socastee upset Loris 14-13. And Smitty was on the call that game, and he'll be joining us. Hartsville beat Wilson 49-6. Now to the Low Country. Berkeley over St. James 48-7. Myrtle Beach topped Cane Bay 36-6. Stratford over Colleton County 41-14. Hanahan edged Andrews 29-28. Ashley Ridge topped May River 48-14. Skeeza. And we have one final from tonight from Skeeza posted. PD Academy beat Lee Academy 38-16. All right, let's take a look at the score stream and see what we've got happening elsewhere around the state on this Friday night. And as soon as the page populates with teams and numbers, we'll start to run those down. Of course, as we always disclaim, don't hold us to the actual scores taken off of ScoreStream. They're not always accurate to the particular score, like right to the number, not always exactly accurate. But it's our source. It's what we have to use. So in overtime, Wilson Hall beat Florence Christian 15-14. Pinewood Prep beat Hilton Head Christian 60-20. We have got to scroll down here to find more scores. In the fourth quarter, Northwestern. At one time, Catawba Ridge led this game early, but Northwestern has stormed back 59-17 over Catawba Ridge. In the fourth quarter, it's Somerville 43, Goose Creek 21. Let's see what else we have here that might be new to us. I think I've given all these. Jefferson Davis over Cross Schools 70-12. Carver's Bay 42, Green Sea Floyd's 18. And if I repeat myself, forgive me. Scores I've already given, perhaps. Let's see. Did that one. Broome 48, Blacksburg 41. Lower Richland 26, Crestwood 21. Let's see here. Sumter, as I mentioned, big over Lugoff Elgin 42-7. Just trying to scroll down to find more scores. That White Knoll big win over Fort D, 38-0. It's an impressive win there. Myrtle Beach beat Cane Bay 36-6. Berkeley 43-7 over St. James. Ashley Ridge 48-14 over May River. Gave you that one, and there you go. So those are the scores that we have in as of right now. And we'll go over the schedule for the days ahead, but we got a bunch of folks standing by to join us, so let's don't delay. Let's get to our great reporters out in the field. Really appreciate these guys joining us tonight because they didn't have to. Many of them didn't have games tonight. Could have had an easy Friday evening, but they took time to join us here on the Founders Federal High School Scoreboard. And first up, Taylor Novinger, play-by-play voice for Crestwood High School. Hello, Taylor. How are you?
Doing well, Phil. How about you?
Hey, man, thank you for joining us tonight. Tell us about your game. Did you play Wednesday night?
Yes, sir, we did. Crestwood hosted Lower Richland Wednesday night and scored on the first two drives, Phil. Looked like they were going to run the score up. It was 14-0 with that 8 minutes left in the first quarter, and they did really well. And then Lower Richland scored before half, so it was like 14-6, so it was, manageable. And then Lower Richland came out in the second half. They went right down the field and scored, tied it up, had problems kicking extra points, here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And 14-14 to start the third quarter. Then Lower Richland scored again, and Jeremy Richardson had a kickoff return for a touchdown, and that was the last score. So that was it. And Lower Richland just kept scoring, and they won the ball game 26-21. So
good win for LR. No, that's a good win for LR.
Yes.
So
yes, LR looked really good.
What's Crestwood looking like as you head into full-time region play here coming up?
Well, back-to-back losses. They lost to South Florence and Lower Richland, and we got at Wilson next Friday night. Got to find an identity on offense. This is his third quarterback. He started Jadis Williams. Really just got to find more groove on offense. They did well in the first two drives, but after that it was just nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So got to come up with something. Yes, sir.
Well, listen, appreciate it. Appreciate the report. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Who you got next week?
At Wilson.
At Wilson, that's right. Okay, Wilson got beat bad tonight by Hartsville, so they'll be in a salty mood. So
might have it. We'll see.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you. Good hearing from you. Thank you, Taylor Novinger, who in his first year of doing play-by-play for the folks over there at Community Broadcasting in Florence and Sumter, doing a great job. We go to Matt Smith, a.k.a. Smitty, play-by-play voice of Socastee High School. I think they are about to erect a statue to Smitty because he's brought the Braves so much good fortune as their new voice. And that was a really good game on Wednesday night. Socastee comes out. I said this might be one of the biggest wins, maybe the biggest win for Socastee since the Hunter Renfro days.
It felt like it. That was Coach Stephen Duggan, who was the former head coach at Socastee, was doing the game with me in the booth. Unlike David Shelton, they allowed Coach Duggan to stay in the booth tonight. Wednesday night. Yeah. And let's see how much of this I can remember. But, Corn, it really was a big victory. It did feel that way. I even said, I'm embarrassed now because in my conversation with Coach Ben Hampton before the game, I said, well, thank you, Coach, for the pregame interview. And, it's a Wednesday night. Strange things happen. Maybe you can keep it close. I said that to a coach. And, maybe that ticked him off because they went right out there and punched Loris in the mouth. And, look, Loris is talented. There's no doubt. I wouldn't take this to believe that Loris was fraudulent in any way. because they've got great athletes on the outside. They've got a quarterback that can sling it and is a threat with his legs, can move the chains with his legs when he needs to keep drives alive. So I was impressed with a lot of what I saw from Loris, but Socastee did what they did a couple of weeks prior, which was stood up defensively. And Coach Illig, the defensive coordinator for Socastee, deserves a lot of credit. He's got a group of players that is just locked in and doing what he's asking them to do. It's anybody that enjoys tactical football, watching football in the chess match, you see what Socastee is doing defensively because in the first half they forced Loris out of their comfort zone to run the football when they really want to get it out in space, get it to those great athletes and force players to make tackles out there on the perimeter. And Socastee forced them to change their game plan. Loris changed their game plan, and then rook to queen 7, Socastee switched back. So it was a chess match. That's why the game was 14-13. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk quickly about special teams. Cater Vansky blocked a punt in the first half, changed the complexion of the game. And on Loris's next fourth down attempt, they got a bad snap and a missed block, and it ended up being an aborted punt play that was just a turnover on downs. And then on the third attempt, Loris called a timeout before even punting. So it can show you, it's a reminder that special teams truly is a third of football. It's often forgotten when we start to preview the games, but then it plays out before our eyes. So Socastee did everything right defensively. Offensively, they did just enough, and you could tell by the score, just barely enough. But they're a thin team, and they had a few players that just kind of played a bit over their head offensively to move the chains at the end of the game, and they stood up to a really good Loris team. So it was Corn, every bit as big a win as it looks on paper, which, as you said, you can't always believe paper. ScoreStream is about as predictable, is about as accurate, I guess, as the election polls.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going. It's just their best guess, their best estimate on what the score is, and they round it up sometimes. But it was a big win for Socastee, and now hopefully they'll take that momentum with them into region play, which starts next Friday against Carolina Ford.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you, Smitty. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
I will have a great weekend. Let me know if you need a Washington-Rutgers update in hour 2. I can call you back.
Is that an hour 2? Right now I'm watching, got one eye on Virginia Tech and Miami. The Hokies are trying to pull off the upset. They're leading 27-24. About maybe to add on to that as I'm talking to you, there's a flag on a long touchdown run. It's probably coming back. But Virginia Tech's giving Miami everything they want at Lane Stadium. All right, Smitty, thank you, man. Talk to you next week. And with that, Smitty is gone. Man does not wait around. He says his goodbyes, and he's out of here. All right, first break coming up. We got Monty Dutton standing by. Talk about Lawrence. Is that what I'm seeing? Going to talk about Lawrence and talk about Clinton, I'm sure. We'll be back after the break.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with the family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
We are back on the high school football scoreboard from our studios in Columbia. Phil Kornblut and Josh Cohen on this Friday night. As you well know, not a whole heck of a lot of scores going on tonight. There's enough to talk about. David Shelton will be joining us in a little bit. Gone through all the finals to this point. Let me check the score stream again here very quickly, see if any new final scores have popped up. And we've got the schedules, according to the high school league, for Saturday and Monday games not played Wednesday, not played tonight, not being completely canceled, have been pushed to Saturday or on Monday. As far as any new scores coming in, just checking here very quickly. We'll go back over all the other scores in a little bit. Just want to see if there's anything new, if we have any more finals to pop in here in the last little bit, and give you anything that I haven't given you. All right, Northwestern and Catawba Ridge, that's gone final. Northwestern wins it 59-17. Somerville and Goose Creek's gone final. Somerville wins it at Goose Creek 43-21. So the Green Wave looks good there. And that's it. Those are the two newest finals from tonight. So let's get back to the phones. We promised you some Monty Dutton time here on the high school scoreboard, and it is Monty Dutton joining us now. Monty, welcome in. How are you?
Well, I'm sitting in the dark. My power's been out for over 18 hours.
Oof.
And but on Wednesday night, I watched Lexington beat Lawrence 29-0, and it wasn't much of a game, not just for the score, but it wasn't really a great offensive game for either team. Lexington took advantage of opportunities. Lawrence made 3 turnovers. The only really exciting part of the game was at the end of the first quarter. And the two teams swapped interceptions when Lexington threw an interception and Lawrence threw one right back at them. But they just sort of drifted away. But neither team had 200 yards of offense. And it's sort of unbelievable the adversity that Lawrence has gone through. They're 0-5. And not only did their first 2 quarterbacks were out for ever since the Clinton game until Wednesday night, but head coach Greg Porter missed 9 days of practice because on their off weekend he was hospitalized for kidney stones.
Oh no!
And so he watched the game from the press box, but came down the field and at the end of it and talked. And he was not lacking energy because he gave his team a pretty inspirational dressing down. And then he talked about how their quarterback Will Thompson looked very rusty. He's a 6'5" transfer from Hillcrest, and a lot of high hopes were based on him.
Yep.
And he hadn't played since the end of the first quarter of the Clinton game, which was the second one of the season. But he played most of the way on Wednesday night, and he was rusty. Nothing really worked for Lawrence, but Lawrence will have a little bit easier going when they get in their region schedule, because while they have to play Westside and Wren, they open the region schedule with Fountain Inn, which while Fountain Inn is a surprise and is having a good year, and it's their first year of the senior class, I think that another week of practice and Coach Porter being back on the practice field, I think Lawrence has an all right chance there, and they're going to win probably a couple of region games. As for Clinton, they were all along scheduled for tonight, and I think they might have played tonight if there was electricity in the town, because I drove all over today trying to find a place where there was Wi-Fi, the library, McDonald's, and the whole town. I can't find any place in town that has power. So Clinton could not very well play tonight, and I don't know whether they'll play Monday night, but I don't think it's too late now. I haven't heard. I mean, Louis Alexander, the athletic director, would have sent a text by now.
Sure.
So Clinton is on hold, but the Red Devils are. I think it's sort of quite a tribute to Daniel, because beating Clinton 37-12 only dropped Clinton from second to third in the 2A rankings. And I think Clinton has not played a team from its own classification, and neither is Union, who they were scheduled to play tonight. But Union has been down for a while now. So that's pretty much the situation in Lawrence County, and I really hope that sometime tonight power comes on.
I do too. We want you
I've lost touch with the outside world. I can't give you any quotes because I don't know what's going on in the world.
You haven't missed a whole lot, I can promise you that. Monty, thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. You're a trooper, sitting in the dark. You know what? Be a good time for you to write a song and put it on your Facebook page.
I can't see my hand right. All I got is a little battery-operated lantern.
Hang in there, brother. Appreciate you. Monty Dutton with us. Got more folks standing by. Going to hit the break. David Shelton should be joining us here, too. Don't go away. We've got a fun show for you. Don't leave us. Be right back.
Do you crave growth for your business? That's where The Point comes in. Fran Halloran here. Kevin Cohen and the other local hosts like me have created a space listeners transform into family. Are you a local business aiming for the stars? You need to get with Kevin and let him help create an individualized blueprint for your growth using the influential stage of The Point Radio. Reach out directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, make this year extraordinary.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
Here's today's STEM tip. Don't throw out that old plastic bottle. Repurpose it by turning it into an awesome terrarium. Just fill it with sand, pebbles, soil, and your favorite plant. It'll grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
With SRN News, I'm Ron Taylor. The death toll from Hurricane Helene has reached at least 44 across Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Helene has left an enormous path of destruction across Florida and the entire southeastern U.S. The Category 4 hurricane made landfall Thursday in Florida, snapping trees, tearing apart homes, and sending rescue crews on desperate and dangerous missions to save people from floodwaters. The damage extended hundreds of miles to the north, with flooding as far away as North Carolina. The Israeli military struck the headquarters of Hezbollah in Beirut, causing massive explosions that leveled multiple buildings. The strikes Friday targeted the leaders of the militant group Hassan Nasrallah. At least 6 people were killed, 91 in the most powerful blast in the Lebanese capital in the past year. The Justice Department has announced criminal charges against Iranian operatives suspected of hacking Donald Trump's presidential campaign and disseminating stolen information to media organizations. This is SRN News.
You know, a lot of times you have to...
With McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks ending mixed for the day, but up for the week, with the Dow notching a new record close, its 32nd of the year. This after August inflation figures support the Fed's continuing path of lowering interest rates. Healthcare and financials were the best performing sectors, while tech stocks lost ground, dragging the Nasdaq lower. Markets in China had a banner week, fueled by the government's unexpected push to revive the country's ailing economy with fresh stimulus measures. The Dow up 138 points, the Nasdaq lower by 71, S&P 500 down 7. Tesla stock popping over 2%, closing out another week with a big gain. While China's efforts to jumpstart its economy help the EV maker, its upcoming robo-taxi event is likely to provide support in the coming days. Tesla shares tend to rise ahead of big events it hosts. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
I'm Dana Perino. This week on Perino on Politics, we're taking a closer look at the state of the race in two very important swing states, Pennsylvania and North Carolina. This week, I'm joined by my guest, Philadelphia-based radio host and former GOP strategist, Rich Zeoli, as well as Raleigh-based Republican strategist with the Indy Group, Jonathan Feltz. What does each of them believe that the candidates need to do to win those states? Available now on FoxNewsPodcast.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
The weather in Columbia can be unpredictable anytime, but in particular this time of the year. You never really know what the weather's going to do. What we do know is that Bergen Roofing will be there for you and for your Midlands neighbors no matter what the weather brings. Stuart has over 30 years in the roofing industry, and in his time, well, he's seen a little bit of everything. Bergen Roofing hopes that you won't need their services, but you can feel confident that if you should need roofing help, Bergen will respond in a timely manner and in a way that you can expect. Company that has been a Better Business Bureau Torch Award winner and has never received a complaint. Unfortunately, it's also the time you'll see people with clipboards in their hands, new-looking magnets on their truck, knocking on your door trying to take advantage of a very bad situation. Bergen hasn't and will never knock on a door unsolicitedly. Remember, Bergen Roofing for any roofing needs, but especially when bad weather hits. Call Stuart, 798-ROOF, that's 798-7663, or visit them online, BergenRoofing.com.
I'm here to fill time because, as everyone knows, when a radio station has dead air, Daddy loses money. Albeit these guys are getting such a deal, Daddy's not losing that much. So take that, Mr. No Raise in 48 years. By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button.
We are back on the high school football scoreboard here on the Sports Talk Media Network, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Virginia Tech leading Miami 27-24 early in the fourth quarter. Gave you the last two scores that have come in live tonight, final scores. Northwestern winning big in its game tonight, and Somerville winning big in its game. David Shelton now joining us from down there in the low country. He watched Somerville and Goose Creek. And you got booted from the press box? What's up with that?
Man, I tell you what, I'm getting old and ornery, and somebody almost took a butt cutting tonight. But, yeah, I mean, some people know, some people don't. I have severe neuropathy in my feet and legs, so walking is not easy. And certain days it's not easy at all. Like certain days I don't get up and walk. I stay in a chair. So when I go to a game, if I see a press box on both sides, the visiting side is usually smaller, so it's not as many steps. And I don't know if you've ever been to Goose Creek. I mean, they got plenty of room over there for me, but I did not want to walk that press box. I mean, I've literally fallen trying to get up some of these press boxes. So I go to the Somerville one, and I pick out a little corner, and there's some coaches setting up in there. And they all leave, and then the AD comes up and says, hey, man, I hate to do this to you, but you can't sit up here. I'm like, what do you mean I can't sit up here? He goes, well, we're going to have coaches all in here. I was like, well, you're going to have some coaches. I said, I saw 3 guys, and then there's some up top. I'm just going to take a little corner, like, I mean, it's a fairly decent sized visiting press box. And he's like, no, he goes, our coaches don't want anybody up here. I was like, what, do you think I'm going to steal secrets? Like, I mean, so I went and sat in the stands, took notes, took my laptop in the stands and wrote it literally as a laptop. And at halftime, in the third quarter, I walked into that press box, and there were 3 people sitting there with 3 open chairs. And then that just made me mad. And I said, I don't expect special treatment. I just want to go somewhere where I can work.
Yep.
Which is what most writers do. They just need a place to work. And I looked over at the home press box, and there were 2 open bins that didn't even have lights on. They were open, but I just could not. I looked and I was like, "There's no way I can walk those things." So I got it done, and it's becoming it's becoming a chore every Friday night. But tonight was disappointing. I mean, Somerville's got 57 coaches between the press box and the sideline, and this has nothing to do with any of this, but they clearly are the most penalized team in South Carolina high school football. They can't play a game in under 3 hours, and tonight with Goose Creek and them, I think they're 1-2 in penalties because there were flags all night. And I mean, there must have been 15 holding calls. There were a lot of motion, illegal shifts, and Somerville does do some shifting and motion stuff. And I could see where, they don't get a guy set or something like that. But, I was thinking up there, I was like, when they say you could call holding on every play, and you hear that all the time. Oh, you could call holding on every play. Well, I think these officials were trying to do that tonight. I mean, I think they were trying to see if they could call holding on every play. And it was just, there had to be, I quit counting at 17, and there had to be over 30 penalties. And that's just not a fun high school game. It stops the clock. And like I said, Somerville just gets penalties, and then Goose Creek is obviously penalty heavy too, but it was kind of a decent game. Somerville was clearly the better team, and they got, this Keyshawn Washington guy, I think I talked about him a few weeks ago. If this cat don't make the Shrine Bowl, they don't need to have a Shrine Bowl team. He is incredible. His speed at 215 pounds, he broke off 3 long plays tonight and outrunning people to the end zone. And I'm just like, wow, this guy. And, I don't think anybody's recruiting. I don't know what the deal is, maybe 6'1", 215, H-back, not big enough or whatever, but, and there may be some other issues. I don't know. But I'm telling you, as a high school football player, there's not 5 better football players in South Carolina than him at any position. He is a game changer. And every time Somerville got into any kind of trouble, they got the ball to him either on a jet sweep or a middle screen or just throwing the ball to him out in the flats, whatever. Somerville's got a really good offense. They operate very efficiently, except for the penalties. Defensively, I think they're going to need some work. And I was talking to Bobby Harton today, and he's like, how do they stack up, in the grand scheme of things in 5A in that division? And I'm like, well, they got a chance to get to the finals. They've been to the lower state finals the last 2 years, but I'm telling you, if they don't clean up the penalties, they're gonna be home early, and they're gonna be going what if and what should have could have been. But they're good. They're a good football team. Offensively, they are really kind of electric. They did it last week against Chapin. They scored 50 points on Chapin, which was undefeated. And if they'd have had a little more time tonight, they'd have probably scored 50 tonight. But 44-21 was the final, and they were comfortably, had 37 at one point. So, I mean, they were comfortable, had never really worried about who was going to win the game. It's just a matter if the game was ever going to get over.
All right, hang on, David. We got a full bank of folks waiting to talk to us. So those of you holding on, be patient. We're going to get to you. David is with us now as well. Let's go to Eric Sprott up in Seneca at the Journal, watching things in the upstate. Not a whole bunch to watch tonight. Eric, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it, man. How bad was the damage up your way? Because it seemed like that was ground zero in South Carolina, right up there in that part of the upstate.
Yeah, I live in Pendleton and come through Clemson on my way to work in Seneca, and it was pretty bad in all three towns. Kind of, you went through spots that kind of looked like a little bit of a war zone. Just a bomb went off, and I don't think anyone in Pendleton has power. And then it's kind of spotty in Clemson and Seneca. But it was pretty hairy this morning for sure.
I can imagine. What's it look like schedule-wise, trying to make up these games maybe tomorrow or Monday? Can they get it done?
Yeah, it looks like the two games we have in our area they're going to try to play them on Monday. We've got Daniel at Seneca, which is a real big one. They're going to play Monday at 7:30. And then the only other game we had on our slate was Greenwood Christian at West Oak. They're going to go at 7 on Monday. So I think they're optimistic they're going to be able to get those done. They held out as long as they could. They were really, really determined to play today. But I think about 11:30 this morning, they finally had to, raise that white flag and give up the hope after, after the sun came up and we all saw how bad everything was.
I understand. What do you make of, we're getting into the region stuff here coming up, but what do you make of the season so far up your way, schools in your area, or maybe some of the others up and down the upstate part of South Carolina?
Yeah, for us, Daniel and Seneca are the big ones. Daniel did such a great job bouncing back last week with that win over Clinton after having that 46-game regular season winning streak snapped. And, I mean, that's a great win against a really good Clinton team, very convincing. And it would have – I think Clinton scored in the final 5 seconds to make that one a little bit closer even. So maybe it was even a little more of a impressive Daniel win than the score might reflect. But just a credit to those kids, what they're doing to be able to come back. And they've had such a tough non-region schedule, playing up with some 5As like Stratford and Man. And then you've got, a top flight 2A school like Clinton. So they're going to be really battle tested for this new region they're going into, Region 2 4A. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Seneca undefeated through non-region and their region opener last week. They had a big win at TR that they kind of ran away with. So it's just going to be interesting to kind of put them together on Monday and really, really get a true read for maybe how that sort of region pecking order is going to play out. And I know Seneca wants to reverse their fortunes against Daniel the last 2 years. Daniel's won those games by a combined score of 83-6. So, some sore feelings on the Seneca side there. So, I know they're eager to get out. That's going to be a home game for Seneca on Monday. So, looking forward to that one when we hopefully finally get to it.
Absolutely. Any damage that you know of to any of the football facilities? Not that I'm not concerned about personal homes and the schools themselves, but this is a high school football show. How do the stadiums hold up, the high school stadiums, as far as you know?
Sure. I haven't really heard anything much. I was in touch with some of the coaches today, and they didn't mention anything. So I'm thinking probably all good there. None of our stadiums have trees too terribly close by. They've got kind of a buffer zone at all of them. So I think on the whole, we're looking pretty good.
Hey, David Shelton, and we're going to let you go, Eric, in just a second, but I want David to comment on this. When Eric was talking and he mentioned Region 2 4A and, Seneca now being in that region, it made my ears perk up to the old days of Region 2 4A. We remember what Region 2 4A used to be about, right?
Oh, Lord, it was nothing better. I mean, it was literally like the SEC. Every Friday night there were close games. And I'll tell you, I mean, the one that there is now with Daniel and Seneca, I mean, they're playing right off the bat, and the winner is going to be in a great shape to win that region, and that's going to be a key thing for them. You know, with the 4A RPI stuff, and winning that region is huge. And you know, I wish Seneca wasn't as far as it is from my house, because that would be a game I would travel to go watch. Eric, I'm just wondering, power-wise, have you heard anything about, you know, will they have power by Monday for those areas that don't have power?
Yeah, that's kind of the $1 million question. We've got a couple power companies that kind of crisscross up here, and they're both, you know, of course, stressing patience and all that sort of thing. I think there's pretty good hope that they're going to be back up in Seneca by Monday, but, you know, I'd hate to jinx it on anyone, but I think there is a decent amount of optimism they'll be able to get it done by then.
That's good. That's good. Because the one thing I was worried about was, you know, what if the stadium lights don't come on? You know, everybody should be
that would be
checking
pretty
their lights.
detrimental to the cause.
Hey, don't worry.
Daniel in the dark would be really fun to watch.
Clemson's going to suck up all the electricity tomorrow. Okay, so if there's anything left for Monday night, you know, whatever Clemson has left over from its game tomorrow night, you guys can have. Eric, thank you very much. We appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
All right, take care, Phil.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Eric Sprott from up in Seneca. Let's hit the break, and we will come back. Hang on, if you would. Dennis and Alan are going to get to you guys right after the break. Coach Scott Early is going to join us after the top of the hour. Also, we're going to catch up with Coach Mike Anthony, who has been named one of the 6 coaches going into the South Carolina High School Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Ordinarily, he'd be doing a high school scoreboard show tonight in the upstate with Stan Olenek, but they're off because of no game. So we'll talk to him about his honor. That's coming up. Be right back.
Farm Bureau insurance agents live and work right in our community. They're not at the end of some 1-800-1000 away. The personalized attention, competitive rates, and a reputation for fast, fair claim service sets Farm Bureau Insurance apart from the competition. For your auto, home, and life insurance needs, trust Farm Bureau Insurance. In Clinton and Lawrence, give Buddy Bridges a call at 864-984-0413 or stop by the office at 726 East Main Street in Lawrence to see how local makes a difference.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debt certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Okay, we're back on the high school football scoreboard, also keeping an eye on this big between Miami and Virginia Tech. Did I say earlier they were in Blacksburg? They're actually in Miami. Miami just scored to pull within 3. They got about 7 minutes to go in that ball game, so that's a good one. Let's go to Dennis Brunson with the high school sports report. And Dennis keeping an eye on the Sumter Gamecocks, who won a big one on Wednesday night. Hey, Dennis, how are you?
I'm okay, Phil. What about you and David?
We're doing great. Good to have you with us. Looking forward to hearing from you throughout the rest of the season. I hope you're feeling well.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I can't complain. Yes, Sumter, they improved to 6-0. They played on Wednesday night against Lugoff Elgin. I know you reported it earlier and all, and Lugoff actually led 7-0 after the first quarter, and then Sumter put up 21 in the second quarter and 14 more in the third, and can obviously rolled from there. And Sumter, the last 2 weeks, they beat Lugoff Elgin 42-7, and the week before they beat Spring Valley, which I know is struggling immensely. Beat them 56-7, and did it without their star running back John Peebles. He's been out nicked up, and they were just letting him rest up a little bit and get healed and healthy and all. Nothing bad, but they've responded great in the games without him. This past week, Franklin Richardson, the quarterback, ran for 160 yards and 3 touchdowns, and threw for 132 yards and another touchdown. And so they had a great performance. And in the week before, Cam Fortune, he's the little brother of O'Donnell Fortune at USC, ran for 270 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game and against Spring Valley. And so Sumter, as has been the case under Mark Barnes since he arrived, it's hard to believe it's been 10 years now, but yeah. I think I'm right on that. It's 10 years, and they've always been able to run the ball against just about anybody, and they're doing it again. They're very strong as far as the ground goes, as far as running the ball.
That has been their strength for sure. Who do they play next week?
This they got West Florence. They got to go over to Florence and play them. And West Florence, as you know, they're 4-1. Only lost to South Florence, if I remember right, in a good ball game. So I think that's probably shaping up to be. I mean, the winner of that'll be sitting pretty as far as the region goes. Of course, they have to take care of more business after that, but that's a big game, obviously. And just to mention Anthony Addison, the defensive end for Sumter, who is signed with USC, had 11 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 2.5 sacks against Lugoff on Wednesday night. And so he's been pretty strong for the Gamecocks all season.
All right, Dennis, thank you, man. It's great to hear from you. Hope we hear from you next week.
All right, Phil. We'll talk to you later, bud.
Thank you, pal. Dennis Brunson, checking in on the Sumter Gamecocks. Ladies and gentlemen, making his debut of the 2024 football season here on the high school scoreboard. Some people know him as Allen, but the world knows him as the bad boy of Sports Talk Radio. From the PD and the Grand Strand, he is Alan Smothers.
Corn, can you hear me?
What's going on, bad boy?
Well, I'm coming through a bad part of Marion County of my T-Mobile, so I hope it doesn't fade out here, and I know you got short time to the top of the hour. But before I say anything about my game tonight, which was Darlington's homecoming against Lakewood, 2 undefeated teams in Region 5 4A, I want to say there are a handful of prep football or, South Carolina sports media icons, and 2 of them are the Corn and the Bib.
Yeah.
And to kick David Shelton out of a press box at any high school in this state of South Carolina is Travis Shamockery. And I've never been treated like that anywhere in the state, and I just can't believe that people don't know who David Shelton is. Has been covering high school sports in this state longer than anybody.
Yep.
Let me say that first. Secondly, my color man is the legend Chuck Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
From Conway High School. on our Friday Night Rivals broadcast on CW in the PD, and we had a great game tonight. Wasn't a great close game, but I'm going to tell you what, the Lakewood Gators, under Coach Willie Alford, they got some young people that are going to be good in the next couple of years. Quarterback Brooks is really good. They got just the twins. The Brown twins are good, but they just didn't have enough athletes tonight. Quarterback for Darlington, Jalen Augustus, he's a Brian Edwards type. If you remember him from the Gamecocks and Conway type, he may not play quarterback in college, but he's going to be a highly recruited player next year. He scored 4 touchdowns tonight. Darlington, 50-26 was the final, but it didn't feel like it was a runaway at any point during the game, and I was happy to be able to broadcast it. My ABC 15 and CW 21 crew is outstanding. I love doing the games with those guys, but I know I don't call you very often, but I know that just driving home from Darlington to the beach is a pleasure. Listening on ESPN Radio and 96.3 FM in the PD, which is where I have my daily broadcast. We were off all 3 hours this morning. We had no power at the station either, so I pray for those people in the upstate, and they're in the path of that storm. So please, know that I haven't had any problems, but we're praying for them, and I just hope that they come through it fine. And I knew you wouldn't have a lot of call-ins tonight, so I thought I would call and let you know that everything's good down here in the PD, and what went from the morning to the evening, well, it was a beautiful night for football. I was glad to be a part of it.
Hey, we thank you. Please make us part of your drive home routine every Friday night. Thank you, bad boy. Talk to you next week.
Thank you, Clark. All right, buddy.
Alan Smothers. Okay, top of the hour. David Shelton's still with us. We got more to come. Don't go away. Be right back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Ron Taylor. High water rescues are underway. Damage and deaths in parts of Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas from Hurricane Helene.
Authorities say at least 24 deaths are confirmed, and there are fears more people could have drowned in flooded homes. Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp, heard on WSB-TV, says the Valdosta area was hard hit.
115 structures severely damaged that we know there are multiple people trapped inside.
Nearby, Rhonda Bell says a falling tree took out half her home.
I just felt the house shake.
Many roads in southern Georgia remain impassable. There are power outages and about a dozen deaths reported, including that of a first responder. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Videographer Stephen Smith reports there's extensive water and wind damage in Florida's Dixie County along the northeast edge of the Gulf Coast.
A lot of the coastal communities north of Tampa are just inundated. There's certain areas that we can't even get in because they are still doing search and rescue missions. But on my drive in from Crawfordville to Dixie County, I had seen a number of power poles pushed over, a number of trees snapped in half, debris in the road.
The death toll from Hurricane Helene has reached at least 44 now across 4 states. Also at townhall.com, former President Donald Trump tells a group of manufacturers in Michigan that President Biden could easily close the border if he wanted to.
Get this guy to sign a little dot. You sign right over the little dots. And you sign your name, Joe Biden, and you say on it to Border Patrol, close the border, and they close the border. That's what I did.
You'll find more news and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Ron Taylor.
I'm the best-selling author of Wonder
creators of Jesus Revolution comes Whitebird.
I'm sure your father has told you stories about when I was a young girl.
Hope can lift you.
You stay with us, okay?
Courage can save you.
You're the bravest person I've ever met.
Love can free you.
When kindness can cost you your life, it becomes like a miracle.
From the director of Finding Neverland, Whitebird. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters October 4th. Tickets and showtimes at whitebird.movie.
Hi, Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. Step up your grilling game with our Solaire portable infrared grills. Our compact everywhere is a favorite of RVers and trailer pullers. Solaire infrared provides the quick sear for bar marks and texture needed to properly finish sous vide. Use a portable alongside larger conventional grill to create an instant sear zone and more juicy and flavorful food. Learn more at BestHotGrill.com. Affordable, powerful, portable infrared grills at BestHotGrill.com.
Iranian operatives charged with hacking Donald Trump's presidential campaign. White House correspondent Greg Clugston has more.
Attorney General Merrick Garland announced the criminal charges which accuse 3 members of Iran's Revolutionary Guard of hacking the Trump campaign, sending stolen information to media organizations, and trying to disrupt the November 5th election. Garland said U.S. officials have seen increasingly aggressive Iranian cyber activity during this election cycle. Iran dismissed the accusations as baseless. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The Federal Reserve's preferred inflation measure provided the latest sign that the price pressures are easing, a trend that's expected to fuel further Fed interest rate cuts. Prices rose just 0.1% from July to August, down from the previous month at 0.2% increase. Compared with a year earlier, inflation fell to 2.2%, down from 2.5% the previous month and barely above the Fed's target. Breaking news at townhall.com.
This is Fran Halloran, the Money Coach. Grow with the point as we build on 10 incredible years of community local radio. We built an environment where our listeners are our family. Are you a small business with big dreams? Join the tremendous stable of advertising partners at The Point. Connect with Kevin Cohen and brainstorm a tailored strategy to escalate your business growth using the powerful platform of The Point. Call Kev directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, you can make the next year your best year.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Don't you forget, pressing the button can also be enjoyable for you.
It's a Friday night in South Carolina, and that means high school football. Welcome to the Founders Federal High School Scoreboard with Phil Kornbluth and David Shelton. We've got all the scores from across the state, plus game reports and interviews with coaches. The High School Scoreboard is proudly brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. Now, let's head to the Scoreboard Studios in Columbia. Here's Phil Kornbluth.
And welcome back in, everybody, on this very strange Friday night of high school football in South Carolina. Strange in that we had very few games played tonight. A bunch played on Wednesday, many more scheduled for Saturday, many more scheduled for Monday, a few tonight. If you're just joining us, give you one more rundown of the scoreboard. And I think everything is in. I don't know of any other games being played tonight that we don't have the scores from. So I think we've got everything in going back to the games on Wednesday. So here we go. These are the final scores from Wednesday through tonight. In the upstate, Belton Honeypath 42, Chapman 7, Broome 48, Blacksburg 41, Northwestern 59, Catawba Ridge 17, Keenan 46, Chester 30, Burns 14, Dorman 3, Lexington 29, Lawrence nothing. In the Midlands, Batesburg Leesville 48, Mid Carolina nothing, Blythewood 35, Spring Valley 13, Lower Richland 26, Crestwood 21, Fox Creek 42, Williston Elko 14, Midland Valley 42, Brooklyn Casey 21, Ridge Spring Monetta 12, Whitmire 2, Barnwell 47, Silver Bluff nothing, Sumter 42, Lugoff Elgin 7, White Knoll 38, Fort Dorchester nothing. In the PD and the Grand Strand area where they had most of the action, whatever action there was tonight, Most of it was there. Pageland Central, or Central of Pageland, 32. Anson of North Carolina, 7. Darlington, 50. Lakewood, 26. Carvers Bay, 42. Greensea Floyd's, 18. Kingstree, 16. Lake City, 14. Lakeview, 49. Hemingway, nothing. Socastee, 14. Loris, 13. Hartsville, 49. Wilson, 6. Low Country, Berkeley, 43. St. James, 7. Myrtle Beach, 36. Cane Bay, 6. Stratford, 41. Colleton County, 14. Somerville, 44. Goose Creek, 21. Hanahan, 29. Andrews, 28. Ashley Ridge, 48. May River, 14. Skeeza, Wilson Hall, 15. Florence Christian, 14. Pinewood Prep, 60. Hilton Head Christian, 20. Jeff Davis, 70. Cross Schools, 12. PD Academy, 38. Lee Academy, 16. That's what we've got so far. If there are any other games being played tonight and we find the scores, we'll let you know. David Shelton is with us. And now we welcome in Coach Scott Early, the Executive Director of the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association, for his Friday night visit with us here on the High School Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. And, Coach, welcome in. I know you're up in Anderson, right there at point-blank range of the storm. How things turn out in your area and around the Anderson area from what you saw?
I'm going to be honest with you, Phil. I obviously lived in Myrtle Beach for 12 years and walking distance of the ocean and survived a few hurricanes, but this was a big boy storm. Like, it was, I mean, where we're at, we had 80-mile-an-hour winds, and it's a war zone, and you can't get out. There's trees across the road, so this was a big one. I mean, it was, being this far inland, living on the coast that long, it was different. I mean, it was last night between, 3 a.m. and probably 10 p.m. this morning. It was very powerful. So it's just one of them lessons you learn.
No question. In your role that you have now, but being a former football coach, what kind of contact have you had with coaches around the state? Is that something that you get involved with when a natural disaster like this happens? Do you check in with schools, teams around the state? What role do you play, or your organization? What role does it play?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I just think there was a little, maybe a little panic moving to Wednesday and Thursday, because actually, if you got turf tonight, it was a great night for football, and we're all in such a drought kind of condition that even natural grass. I mean, I just thought everybody should hold on and wait to. I always believed high school football should be played on Friday night, and I don't know how we got away from playing in the rain and being tough. But I mean, it's just a different dynamic, different element.
No question about that. What about in your town with Westside and T.L. Hanna and right around there, Crescents, Belton Honeypath, just thinking of the other schools? Any reports of damage to the stadiums, to scoreboards, lights, facilities, anything you've heard?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that, even at the college level, Newberry's supposed to play tomorrow, and they don't have power, and they're going to play Sunday at 2. It's just been a lot of moving parts, and I don't think anybody realized how big, or how much impact this storm was going to have, but it definitely affected, our normality of high school football, and it being played on Friday night. And then, the stuff that everybody had to deal with is, that's usually a coastal deal, but it was actually a really big upper state deal.
Yes, it was. So basically, we've kind of hit that halfway point of the regular season. And most everybody now will be into region play as we get into October. What's been your this aside, this storm aside, and everything that it's turned upside down? What's been your impression of the high school football season to date as we head to the second part?
Well, I mean, I think with the new age of transferring and moving and going and here or there, it's really in my opinion, it's created a little bit of imbalance. I mean, if you look at, back in the day of the Big 16, Little 32, and the points, and every game mattered. And now we're into, obviously you look at 5A and you have, Dutch Fork, who I've watched play, and you have Northwestern and Gaffney, and then you move down to 4A and you've got Westside, and, in 3A, you got BHP. It's almost like, it's sort of predictable, which is not, I don't necessarily think that's a good thing for high school football. I guess I'm old school. I like the every game matters, and you play for the school and the pride of your school, and not the name on the back, but the name on the front. And I think we've gotten away from that a little bit, and hopefully we can get back to it at some point. But it's obviously a lot different than it used to be.
Is there, like, in your position, is there anything that you can do, or are you just more of a overseer and a sounding board? Or is there anything that you can implement, anything that your office can work into action, so to speak?
Well, just sort of support and serve, and let it play out. And whether you agree or disagree, it's high school athletics, and it's the most memorable moment in a child's life. So it's we just like everybody else, we do what we can, but you can't worry about things out of your control. You just try to make what's going on the best it can be.
David Shelton is with us. David, you have a question or two for Coach Early?
I just want to make a comment. I was listening to what he said about living in Myrtle Beach, and obviously I live in Charleston. And, I was thinking today, had that storm come in where it did and there not been a offshore pressure system to steer it to the upstate, it would have come right through Charleston, and it would have been a mess because of the water. And you're right. When Hugo came in, it messed up Charlotte and Rock Hill a little bit. Not nearly like it did in the lower part of the state, but man, I was looking at some pictures and watching the radar overnight, and I was just like, holy cow, it's never been not a hurricane. Now they did have the flood in 2015, but that wasn't a hurricane. This was 80-mile-an-hour sustained winds, knocking over trees, on top of cars and ruining people's lives. And I was just thinking about that when Scott was talking about, he's in Anderson, and, you could think of 100 different things that could happen, and a hurricane coming through Anderson would be 100th. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah.
Just not something you had on your docket for this week. Be prepared for a hurricane to come. Well, think about Atlanta. Atlanta gets hit by a hurricane and those kind of winds. You just don't hear about that in that part of the world. So let me ask you this before we let you go, because I know you're tired and you'll be getting out.
Good, man. I'm always here for you.
Oh, I know that. We don't want to – I know that. What game you going to go to tomorrow night? My guess would be or either Monday. My guess is that you're going to get over to see Gaffney Spartanburg.
I'm actually taking off, and I'm going to Woodruff next week to kick off the Coaches versus Opioids campaign in Woodruff. And then we've got some big dates on the 18th and the 25th, and we've got dignitaries. We've got our Attorney General, our governor. We're going to have a lot of people making this push to try to save lives.
That's a great thing. Let me ask you about a couple of other things. First of all, we're going to be talking to Mike Anthony in a few minutes, but you guys announced your
congratulations, Coach Anthony, on the Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well deserved. I
was going to ask you to talk about the comment on the group, the six that you guys who pick, is that the Football Coaches Association selects those, correct?
Yes, sir. Jimmy Noonan is doing a great job as the new executive director, and they people through and do all the things that are required, and they come up with that list, and they did a great job. How about Tom Bass, Mickey Moss, my mentor?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be incredible. And in conjunction, and you are well versed in this. It used to be just the the Touchstone Energy Bowl, and we turned it in the Weekend of Champions. So everybody's going to be at the beach during the second week of December, and people are going to get honored. So they get honored before the game or in the morning at a breakfast, and then they come to the game and they're honored at halftime right before Mr. Football. And the Football Coach Association has done a tremendous job of just putting this thing together and honoring people that need to be honored.
Absolutely. And then Sunday, we've got the announcement of the Shrine Bowl roster. Coach Reggie Kennedy heading up the South Carolina team. And then we
Yes,
look
sir.
ahead into October. We'll have the rosters announced for the Touchstone Energy Bowl, the North-South game, and that is set for, I believe it's October 21st. Is that correct?
And it will be announced on Sports Talk, so you can't get it anywhere else, so you got to listen in and tune in.
And Mr. Football finalist to be named on the 24th. But here's what I wanted to point out to you, and David and I talked about this recently on the show, and that is we have such a great year for quarterbacks in South Carolina. Not only will the Shrine Bowl have a great selection, and of course they get the first pick of the players, but for the Touchstone Energy Bowl, you guys, there should be a terrific selection of quarterbacks available for that game as well.
No doubt, and it's not a fall down thing; it's a fall up thing. Like this class is so talented, everybody's going to get what they need, hopefully to be successful. But as always, we just hope that the Shrine Bowl team can beat North Carolina. It's awesome that Reggie's in this position, and we've got some. Everybody's got some really tough decisions to make, depending on what you want to run schematically on offense. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, we're looking forward to it Sunday and then into October with the Touchstone Energy Bowl. And, Coach, get out and enjoy the weekend if you can. You probably have a lot of yard work and cleaning up to do, so best of luck there. Hopefully next Friday night, back to normal. We'll catch you at a ball game somewhere.
Well, next Friday night, the FCACA will be in Woodruff to watch a great game, but also fight for a great cause. And I know this is near and dear to David's heart, and we're going to all, come together for trying to make this a great purpose and using high school football and high school athletics as a vehicle to save lives.
Before I let you go, where can folks go on the web, on the internet, to find more information about that?
sccoaches.org.
sccoaches.org. Sounds great.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thank you. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
Hey, thanks, Phil, for having me on. Look forward to talking to you next Friday when I'm at a live game.
I love it. Love it. Thank you, Coach Scott Early.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Executive Director, South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. We'll be right back after the break.
Founders Federal Credit Union believes in empowering future generations, helping to provide our youth a smart start as they begin their financial journey. Discover Smart Start by Founders. Start off with Smart Start savings with a low minimum balance of just $5. Teach responsible spending with a free debit card, text alerts, and no minimum balance. Jumpstart a lifetime of saving and investing with a Smart Start 12-month certificate featuring flexible deposits. Start with just $100 and add more deposits at any time. Finally, dive in deeper with fun educational resources. Founders is excited to team up with you with resources and support to give our youth a smart start towards a brighter tomorrow. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller Brown. Did you know it's possible to avoid probate court after you die, regardless of what you own? Why put your loved ones through a long, stressful public process when there are better options for your family? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
All right, Virginia Tech's trying to pull one out of the fire. They're down 38-34. Miami just scored. About a minute ago, 3 seconds to go, Virginia Tech's got the ball in range to throw a Hail Mary. We'll see what happens. They're down 38-34 in Miami, trying to knock off the 7th-ranked team in the country. David Shelton alongside. This is the High School Football Scoreboard on the Sports Talk Media Network, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. A pleasure to welcome into the Scoreboard longtime friend friend of ours personally, and a friend of Sports Talk, and a friend to a lot of people. And he's going into the South Carolina High School Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame, Coach Mike Anthony, who ordinarily would be doing a Scoreboard show tonight with Stan Olenek, but they don't have any games hardly in the upstate. So we called him on a free night, but I wanted to have him on to congratulate him on the honor. And, Coach, it is an honor to have you with us, and congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Is your name Stan? No, that's right. Kyle.
How are things in Union where you are?
Well, it was pretty rough this morning. Kind of reminded me when I was living in Batesburg in '89 when Hugo came through. It came through the Midlands there pretty strong too. But yeah, it's quite an honor.
Oops.
Hammond's. You get me?
Yeah, the cell's kind of in and out, but continue. We've got you.
Yeah, Billy Ammons and I coached. He was the head coach, and I was his assistant in the '94 Shrine Bowl. I sent you a text the other day. We had Anthony Simmons and Joe Hamilton on the team. That's a pretty good team.
That's a good team. Good idea to take those two.
Yeah, I think they were the first two chosen. But Tom Bass. You were right the other night. He has passed, and in fact I went to the funeral. But guys like that, Mickey Moss, man, it's just an honor to go in with some of these guys. I'm glad some of these young guys are still remembering us 74-year-olds and older. So
well,
it's kind of fun to relive this. And I'm going to have a chance. I told my wife, I said, we're going to the North-South game because Greg Lawson and Stuart Young are coaching for the North, and Jay Brannon at Ridge Spring is coaching at South for the South. And all those boys, Stuart played for me, and them other two guys, they actually were on my staff here at Union. And I said, we're going to go one more time to the North-South game, so I'm going to get a chance to go and not only get to watch them coach, but also receive this great honor.
That's fantastic. When I was a young guy, you were one of the first high school coaches that I ever got to know. I was working in Greenville. You were coaching at Carolina High, and then I think Southside or the other way around. But I got to know you because I would go around to all the high schools and talk to the coaches once a week. I try to get over to see you, and you did a great job at those places. Then you went, I think, to Batesburg from there.
That's right.
And then eventually to Union County, Union High School, where you did some really great things. So what a career. When you reflect on what you've done, what do you take away from your coaching career?
Well, it's a relationships. I had a kid from Southside last week call me, and I met him in Greenville. I mean, it's just the things like that. It's just unbelievable to have that. And you got a wife and a family that they wonder. Early in my career, my wife wanted to know if I was running around on her because I was at work at 11 o'clock at night. And for her to go through that with our kids, and then you got all the coaches that you hired or you work with. And then the most important, as you know, you and I always talked about the Jimmies and the Joes. You know, it's amazing the players that you have and over all those years. So, you know, I did I think 22 years as a head coach and 35 years total. So that's a lot of time to work with kids, and it's not one moment regretted.
No doubt about it. And
Yeah.
I mean, at some places you didn't have the greatest talent, and
right.
But at Union you had some really good talent, great talent. You won a state championship, as I recall, there at Union. And
Three.
I'm
My
sorry.
wife, I tell you, three.
Three. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, you know, I lose count over the years, but I knew there were some, and you had some really good players. So you obviously could take, as Danny Ford used to say, you know, I'll take yours and beat mine, and I'll take mine and beat yours.
Well, you know, that was a pretty good saying, but Alan Sidley could really do that too pretty well.
Yes, he could.
Yeah, me and Tom Bass was always trying to stop him. I'll never figure that. Tom, you was talking about that the other night. Tom was so good. He had him figured out to the point that if a guy put his hand on the ground, he knew exactly where he was going. So, I mean, it was amazing what Tom Bass could do defensively.
He was a defensive wizard. I do remember that. And, of course, his days at Clemson as well. As you moved across the state from one school to the other, from the upstate down basically to the Midlands and back over to another part of the upstate, did you notice anything different about high school football depending on what part of the state you were in?
Oh yeah, I mean, in Greenville County back in those days, they were very lucky to have the coaches they had, because you had Stan Hopkins, you had John Carlisle, you know, Dave Farnham. All these guys were great coaches. And they also loved their hometown of Greenville. You know, they were lucky to have hometown boys that wanted to be coaches. But they didn't pay as much as some of these others. I left Greenville and made, I hate to say it now, but almost twice as much in Batesburg, Leesville. You know, so it was different. You know, you had to be willing to move. So I was a Union boy who happened to end up at Carolina High School doing his student teaching, and Rick Carlisle hired me there. And so then I came to Union with him, and then I went on that tour back to Carolina, then to all the stops you said, except you left out Easley. I made the Easley stop too.
Forgot about. Hang on one second, Coach. If you could drink some more coffee, and we'll come back to you in just a moment.
No, we ain't got no coffee. Ain't got no power up here. I'm mad about that.
Well, I tell you what, while we're talking, the single most incredible end to a football game just happened as Virginia Tech has beaten Miami, and you will not believe the ending. We'll be back in just a moment.
One in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives, getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
And Doug.
Customize and save hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual. After that, you can also save me, as I'm currently hanging from the edge of a cliff. To recap, number 1, customize and save. Number 2, time allowing, save me. Shoulders separating!
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com. Savings may vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual. Affiliates excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
With SRN News, I'm Ron Taylor. The death toll from Hurricane Helene has reached at least 44. Helene has left an enormous path of destruction across Florida and the entire southeastern U.S. The Category 4 hurricane made landfall Thursday in Florida, snapping trees, tearing apart homes, and sending rescue crews on desperate and dangerous missions to save people from floodwaters. The damage extended hundreds of miles to the north, with flooding as far away as North Carolina. Firefighters, infants, and older adults were among those who died. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has pleaded not guilty to federal bribery charges and other counts in a case that has roiled the nation's biggest city after months of investigations, searches, and subpoenas. Adams entered the plea Friday before a packed courtroom gallery a day after prosecutors revealed charges alleging that he accepted overseas travel and campaign donations from people looking to buy his influence. The mayor maintains his innocence. More online at srnnews.com. I'm Ron Taylor.
You know, a lot of times you have to...
This is Ian with AccuClean. With fall quickly approaching, AccuClean knows that it can be all too easy for kids and pets to track in mud, grass, and leaves. Luckily, we know the solution. Now is the perfect time to get your carpets, rugs, and upholstery cleaned as it extends the freshness and life. AccuClean is a veteran-owned and local carpet cleaning company located in the Midlands for over 20 years. Be sure to give us a call at AccuClean today at 803-957-1202 to make sure your carpets are refreshed approaching this season. AccuClean at 803-957-1202. We'll see you soon.
This is Fran Halloran, the money coach. Grow with the point as we build on 10 incredible years of community local radio. We've built an environment where our listeners are our family. Are you a small business with big dreams? Join the tremendous stable of advertising partners at The Point. Connect with Kevin Cohen and brainstorm a tailored strategy to escalate your business growth using the powerful platform of The Point. Call Kev directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, you can make the next year your best year.
The weather in Columbia can be unpredictable anytime, but in particular this time of the year. You never really know what the weather's going to do. What we do know is that Bergen Roofing will be there for you and for your Midlands neighbors no matter what the weather brings. Stuart has over 30 years in the roofing industry, and in his time, well, he's seen a little bit of everything. Bergen Roofing hopes that you won't need their services, but you can feel confident that if you should need roofing help, Bergen will respond in a timely manner and in a way that you can expect for a company that has been a Better Business Bureau Torch Award winner and has never received a complaint. Unfortunately, it's also the time you'll see people with clipboards in their hands, new-looking magnets on their truck, knocking on your door trying to take advantage of a very bad situation. Bergen hasn't and will never knock on a door unsolicitedly. Remember, Bergen Roofing for any roofing needs, but especially when bad weather hits. Call Stuart, 798-ROOF, that's 798-7663, or visit them online, bergenroofing.com.
With 7 locations in the Midlands, Groucho's Deli has been crafting award-winning culinary delights for over 80 years. Bite into the legendary STP Dipper or Apollo and let the unique flavors of My Wife's Salad dressed in our famous Formula 45 sauce enchant you. Don't just dream about it. Taste the hashtag Groucho's goodness today. Whether you're looking for comfort at your doorstep or a cozy corner in our deli, we're always just a click or a step away. Groucho's Deli, your neighborhood deli. Taste the good at grouchos.com.
Someone will be right with you. Please continue to hold.
All right. Doggone it. They reversed the call. This is going to be talked about the entire football season. They reversed the call. You have to reverse a touchdown call, I mean, you have to have absolute, compelling, overwhelming evidence, conclusive evidence, I think is the wording, to change a call. They call it a touchdown on the field. After review and after talking to the commissioner of the ACC, no doubt, because Miami losing would perhaps keep the ACC out of the playoffs, unless Clemson gets there, they gave the win to Miami. So Miami stays undefeated, 5-0. Unbelievable play. Coach Mike Anthony with us. David Shelton will join in as well. Coach, I guess you didn't see it because you don't have any power, but right. When you get a chance to see it, you won't believe it. 3 Virginia Tech receivers and 2 Miami defenders at the back end line of the end zone on about a 30-yard lob pass, and the Virginia Tech receiver in the middle goes up. Looks like he gets the ball cradled in his stomach, comes down. The ball kind of rolls around between him and the defenders and is moving around, and it looks like it gets back into his his grasp in his stomach, and he's holding on to it, and the Miami team starts running off like they won it, incomplete. The official on the field ruled touchdown. Then we go to the review, and after the review, it comes back as an incomplete pass. So incredible. Which leads to my question. I mean, as you reflect on your days as a high school coach, but being around college coaches as well, I mean, the changes now that we're seeing all over the place in football, what do you think about it as you look back to where you were?
Man, it's a different world. And I think it's sad in a lot of respects, but I also think there's some good things that could come out of it. And it's just a matter of who's in charge is my question, especially with the NCAA and stuff like that. So many things are questionable now. There's just not anybody looks like makes any decisions. And I don't know. In high school, we've had all this with the charter schools and all the, the multiplier that they got this year and all the things they're doing. I think that's working. I think we'll see how that works later on, but it's still something that I think we still got a lot of work to do as far as charter schools and maybe them even having their own league, if we get so many of them, because we are getting quite a few.
Yeah. Do you think, when we were all coming along, the thing about football was it helped to mature you, grow you, make you a leader, make you a team player, make you work together with other people for a common goal, all of that kind of stuff. Even at the high school level now with so many transfers and we're seeing quarterbacks, not to pick on them, but we're seeing quarterbacks separated from everybody else. They're so coddled now. The quarterback position is treated so reverently, unlike really any other position on a team. Are we losing not everything, but are we losing some of the things that made football, so important in towns and in cities and colleges and everything else?
I worry about it. I really do, Phil. I think it's a situation. I mean, you look at these travel teams of little leagues. I got a grandson that's got 5 rings that are 3 times the size of our state championship rings. You work the entire 4 years possibly to get those things, and these guys go play one Saturday and Sunday, and they get this. I think we have an entitlement with kids today, and I think sometimes it's us as adults that are causing it, especially at the high school level. So, I don't know. But, you're right. There's a lot of difference in how they treat positions now, even in the NIL stuff, in the college thing. I can't imagine some of these offensive linemen blocking for these $5 million quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. David, you got a question for Coach? Let me get David on the board here. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Dave.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, I looked at the list of the guys going in, and the one thing that stands out is just how brutally honest every one of these guys was with the media. I mean, Tom Bass was a handful to interview. I'm not going to lie. And Mike Anthony, after a game, I remember I was on the field in Union, and he ain't going to remember this. This was, 35 years ago or whatever. And I said,
20 years ago.
I said, guys, you didn't, Coach, you didn't play very well. And he kind of tilted his head and he said, David, we sucked. And I said, I won't say that. He goes, no, you can say that. We sucked. And Tom Bass and Mickey Moss was the same way. The only gentleman of the bunch, I used to call him Gentleman Billy Ammons.
That's right.
Is Billy Ammons would just be so calm. He could lose a game on the last second, and he'd just be like, well, that's football. And, but these other guys, man, they were so much fun to talk to. I mean, I used to have to call Mike every week with the high school sports report, and
right.
we would just talk a lot about football and about life. And I mean, guys like that, you can learn so much from whether it be football or life or whatever. You just have to ask questions and pay attention. And Mike has always been one of my favorites. I obviously have lost touch with him since he got out of coaching and that kind of thing. But man, Tom Bass and Mickey Moss, and it was just a great group of guys.
Coach Weir was pretty good too down there in Barnwell. He's on that list too.
Yeah. I wasn't even thinking that Mac Weir was as brutally honest as any of you.
Right. He really was. I'm telling you. It's funny you look back on this, and this group of guys right here, I was close friends with, even though we competed hard against each other. Tom Bass and I played against each other, and of course we had in the playoffs. Actually, Jimmy Neal was coaching at Camden when we played him for the state championship. And we played them 2 years in a row, 2001, 2002. So that was interesting. But, Billy Ammons, like you said, was always down there shaking our hands and hugging our necks, So
yeah,
it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun that Saturday morning. I think that's when they said it's a breakfast, isn't it, or whatever.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall and just listen, not say a word, just listen to the stories.
That'd be good.
Before we let you go, I wanted to ask you this, and you mentioned Camden, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you played Dillon in the state championship one year.
Yes, 99.
Yeah, and all right, I don't.
Manning in 2000.
They had you played Manning in 2000.
Yes.
Okay, but I'm going back to that Dillon game, and David helped me out because you were there, I'm sure. But, I think Dillon had Derek Hamilton and Stan Manning maybe, and those Nasty Cats defense, and you had Roscoe Crosby, and was the Browning kid on that team?
Yeah, Kyle was running back.
Yeah, so, it was a loaded game. Help me here. I think you won. Did you win?
Yeah, we won. They were up 18-6. Now, let me tell you something. This is where I turned my whole career in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie Hayes, who I barely met, stood out there on the 50-yard line, and he didn't say, well, Coach, y'all got a good team or whatever, like we always talk. He said, man, Coach, you could get elected. Look at all them people in the stands. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you could run for the State House. Them people vote for you.
And you ran.
I ran. 2 years later, I ran. Yeah, Jackie and I stand out there talking about that. I said, man,
well, he did it too, but
he'd been to a state championship game. He'd been to 4 or 5 by then.
He continued to coach while he was repping. Yeah. Last thing, and we got to let you go.
All right.
Coaching Roscoe Crosby, no question, one of the all-time great athletes to come out of our state. What was it like having him for the years you had him?
Oh, it's so easy because he was the hardest working guy on the field. Now, a lot of those prima donnas, what I call them, prima donnas, those guys, they don't want to do much. They want to make sure to protect themselves and get it. We had a guy named Xavier Bird who signed with Carolina, a linebacker.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
This week we play in Dillon. We run a crossing route on Wednesday in practice, and we going just kind of half speed. Well, Xavier didn't know half speed, and he hit Roscoe.
Huh.
And I had a heart attack. I said, here's two of the best players I got, and they're going to get hurt, So I kind of slowed practice down. But that's the kind of kid that Roscoe was and Xavier was. Stuart Young, the kid that's coaching at Saluda right now, that's the way he was. Those guys, they didn't want anything but to practice, and they'd stay ever how long you wanted to. It was a joy to coach those kids. And to be honest with you, Phil, it's about the relationships you build with those kids also, and that's very important.
Well, for all of us, me, David, Josh, the entire state, and for all you guys going in, we were just lucky enough to grab you on the phone. Congratulations on the honor. Looking forward to being down there at the beach when you guys are celebrated. So well deserved, so well earned, and good luck cleaning up around your area there. I hope everything goes well for you.
Thank you, buddy. Remember, it's about them Jimmys and Joes, not about us.
Well, they need leaders, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They do need leaders. Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy.
All the best. Take care.
All right.
Coach Mike Anthony I call him governor, though he never rose to governor. He was a state representative. and we appreciate him being with us tonight. David, he was one of the best, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He could make sugar out of poop.
Yeah, he could do that. All right, we'll be right back. Got some more reporters standing by. Be right back.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter your Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at experiencecolumbiasc.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Really insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Hello, friends. This is David Shelton, co-host of the Friday Night Scoreboard Show with Phil Kornbluth. As many of you know my story, I've lost 2 sons to drug overdose the past 10 years. I want to tell you about my friends at Wake Up Carolina. Wake Up Carolina is a nonprofit recovery community organization dedicated to providing awareness, promoting education, and creating hope in recovery for our young adults, individuals, and families touched by substance use through collaborative community partnerships, trusted resources, and support services in Berkeley, Charleston, and Dorchester counties. The organization relies on private donors and state funding to make sure all their resources are free and open to the public. Call them today if you know someone who needs assistance. That's wakeupcarolina.org. Phone number 843-972-8154. Don't wait until it's too late.
Go, Gators!
Now, I do like your fight song. Da 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 da. Just a new ending for the show now. You've bumped the Notre Dame fight song that JP plays.
I have. All respect to JP though.
Yeah. Go Gators. Yeah, too bad they're not any good anymore. I mean, back in the day, that was a fearful fight song. People used to wet their pants when they heard that. Not anymore. They say, bring it. They say, bring it, Gator boys, because you ain't got anything. You got nothing. You got nothing anymore. You're an also-ran. You're a bottom feeder. You're in the basement. You're about to fire your coach. You nothing. Uh-huh. What do you
Go
think?
Gators. In all kinds of weather.
Thanks to Billy Baker, he's informed me that the Ashley Ridge May River score that we were reporting was actually a JV score, not a varsity score. So thank you for correcting us on that. And now, so we take that off the scoreboard. So now we go to a couple of folks been waiting. We appreciate that. Richard Sally with the Orangeburg Prep. Did they get a game in tonight, OP? Richard, what you got? It's good to have you with us.
Yeah, Phil, we had an exciting game in St. Matthews tonight in Orangeburg Prep and Calhoun Academy. We had 5 lead changes in the second half and a final score in the last 34 seconds of the ball game. Calhoun started the scoring off with a 12-yard run from Colt Layton. Chase Strickland ran in a 2-point conversion to start off with an 8-0 lead for Calhoun. Orangeburg Prep responded with Jasiri Parker with a 5-yard run. Their 2-point conversion failed, so Calhoun up 8-6. Later in the second quarter, Walt Mims hit T. Riley on a 40-yard touchdown pass. Again, the 2-point point conversion failed, but OP took a 12-8 lead, and that's how the score went in at halftime. The second half, Chase Strickland for Calhoun had a 1-yard run, and he added the extra point for Calhoun to take a 15-12 lead. OP responded with Jasiri Parker on another 4-yard TD run. Walt Mims with the extra point. OP up 19-15. Colt Layton then took a 18-yard run for a touchdown, and the kick failed, so Calhoun's back up 21-19. T. Riley for the Indians runs 50 yards for a touchdown. Walt Mims kicks the extra point for 26-21 OP lead. With 34 seconds to go in the game, Chase Strickland runs in a 1-yard run, and Colt Layton has the 2-point conversion. So Calhoun comes away with a 29-26 region game here in St. Matthews.
My, you might have had the best game in the state tonight.
I think we did. It was down to the wire. We thought we had held them on downs with 3 minutes to go, but they had timeouts left and got the ball back, and were able to punch it in right there at the very end. So Calhoun is now 5-1 overall, 3-0 in region play. OP falls to 2-3 and 1-2 in region play.
What's it like?
Yeah.
What's it like in your area from the storm? Obviously, you guys were able to play, but everything around you, how's everything?
Yeah, we didn't get too bad of damage. I think St. Matthews was in better shape than Orangeburg. We had a little bit of power outage, but cable came back on later in the afternoon. It was, the field was in great shape over there. It was very pleasant. So we got lucky.
Okay, sir. We thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, David, I tell you what, man, our reporters, our broadcasters who do high school football, or guys who go out and cover the games, they're a hardy bunch, aren't they? They don't care about the storms, the weather, the press box availability. Just get out there and do your job.
Yeah, if there's a game being played, somebody's covering it.
That's right.
Which is the way it ought to be.
Think about your season so far. You got kicked out of a press box. You had to sit in the stands with nobody at a game to cover a game. You just had a very interesting season so far.
Yeah, I've had 3 games that lasted 3 hours, and every one of them involved the Somerville Green Wave. So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to cover Somerville again this year.
Is that by? Oh, come on! They're going to have some big games you're going to have to cover.
Well, maybe in the playoffs, but I gotta spread the wealth. I mean, I was not going there tonight. I was going to Hammond Northwood. They canceled that, so that was the only game going on.
All right, let me hit a few scores here from games that were played and get your quick thoughts. How about the way Burns beat Dorman the other night, held them to a field goal, 14-3?
Yeah, good win for them. They needed that. They needed to have some success. Their defense is a pretty good unit, so they continue to do that and get a little better offensively. They'll be where Burns is supposed to be.
Northwestern, man, big tonight. They look good every week, 59-17 over Catawba Ridge.
Yeah, they're a scoring machine. They're a lot like Somerville. They just have so many weapons. Play calling is unbelievable. I think Catawba Ridge actually took a lead in this game, and then it just, boom, it was 3 touchdowns Northwestern by the time, you could refresh your Twitter.
Refresh your Twitter. We should all refresh our Twitter. Midlands, how about 2 teams here? The way Sumter won, they're undefeated. The way White Knoll beat Fort Dorchester, and, that defense at White Knoll's got such a reputation now, and they turned it up against Fort D, though you did say on Sports Talk Fort D's a little beat up.
Yeah, they're missing some players, but like I said on Sports Talk, White Knoll was going to beat them, I think. White Knoll is the better team. They got a really good quarterback, and if you got a good quarterback, you can win a lot of games, but that defense is really solid.
How about in the PD Grand Strand area? You got to give tip of the cap to Darlington, turnaround season for them. And then that win by Socastee over Loris, I don't think anybody saw that coming.
No, if anybody other than a Socastee fan or a player said they thought they were going to beat Loris, I think they were telling a fib. Loris was a ranked 3A team, a very good team. They had an uncharacteristic amount of penalties that really stymied their drives, and Socastee just put it on them. They just held on, and biggest win for Ben Hampton since he's been the coach there, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've played good football so far this year. I mean, they have really been competitive. Can they be competitive in their region?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think anybody in that region is going to run away with it. I mean, you got, Myrtle Beach, Carolina Forest, North Myrtle Beach haven't won yet. St. James, Socastee. I mean, Conway. I think they're all pretty even. If I had to place odds, I would probably go Carolina Forest, but it's wide open. Yeah, they can definitely win that region.
Hanahan beat Andrews by a point the other night, 29-28. That's a good ball game there.
Yeah, they've won 2 in a row. They beat Timberland 2 weeks ago, and they've done it. They've won the last 2 with a freshman quarterback that they brought up from the JV. He's a pretty good athlete, pretty good player, but he's 2-0 as a varsity starter, and he's the principal's son.
Huh.
So, and he's got good skills and good size. He's also a baseball player. It's Trip Gallus. I think he's going to be the guy, henceforth moving forward for the next few years.
All right. Bunch of games are going to be played tomorrow around the states, including you're going to have Spartanburg and Gaffney. And what do you think there? Gaffney's undefeated. Spartanburg is, still really good or pretty good. What do you think of that matchup?
Well, Gaffney's quarterback's not going to play, so that evens it out a little bit. Gaffney's going to have to play very well. Spartanburg's got a really good defense, and they don't have to worry about that quarterback. So that one will be a very competitive game.
How about Greenville and J.L. Mann?
Yeah, I just think Greenville's still in the building stages, and I think J.L. Mann is just a step or two ahead of them right now. I think J.L. Mann will win that football game.
All right. Well, there's football, high school football tomorrow, and high school football on Monday. Be plenty of that as well. Hopefully, David, we'll have a nice, calm, peaceful week next week and get back to the full Monty on Friday night.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope the wind, I hope it gets a little breezy, and I hope the temperatures go down, but don't need no more of those storms.
No, we've had enough. David, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, guys.
David Shelton, the one and only man right here with us on the high school scoreboard. We have enjoyed it. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for all the reporters, the coaches. Thank you for those who did play tonight, who will play tomorrow, who will play on Monday. You coaches, you players, and you families for making it all happen. Have a great weekend. Back with you next Friday night right here, Founders Federal High School Football Scoreboard.